Hey there, everyone. This is Jeremy, the Music Andy, and we're here today to talk about See Through You from A Place to Bury Strangers. This is a three-piece band from New York, spearheaded from Oliver, which is the only original member still in this band. We have two new members joining us on this album from the group. We have John Fedowitz, who is notable in being from Skywave, which John and Oliver played together, and in Ceremony, where John and his wife, Sandra, who is also the other newest member, formed together and played together as well. A Place to Bury Strangers is a band that I only know really two albums of their discography, and those being the first two. Exploding Head is a fantastic album from the group. It's a big love fest of post-punk, shoegaze, and noise rock. The way that the album, I feel like it moved, was that each song individually kind of showcased each one of these genres, whether it be a post-punk song, a shoegaze song, and a noise rock song. They never really blended together. Each one of them just kind of individually was placed there. But there was a little bit of genre blending for sure, especially between the noise rock and shoegaze genres. Oliver's vocals are very adaptive to the instrumentation that's going on around him. For the noise rock songs, it's a lot more direct, straightforward, singing, yelling, talking, however you want to describe it. The shoegaze have the softer, reverbier vocals, and the post-punk has the more drawn-out, gothic vocals. This is a band that really helped me get into noise rock, to be honest with you, because I was listening to a lot of shoegaze when I was first getting into music, about when I was 18, kind of developing, post-rock taste, and shoegaze was the other one. I mean, I hate to say it, but My Bloody Valentine, Slow Dive, the two biggest shoegaze bands being the ones that got me into it. When I heard A Place to Bury Strangers, I was already familiar with post-punk at the time. I liked it a lot. I didn't know noise rock as much, and they really sold it for me. Deadbeat, one of the songs off of Exploding Head, is still one of my favorite tracks all time. It's also just one of my favorite all-time tracks from the band. But enough about old albums, old bands. Let's talk about the newest album, and let's start off with the positives on it. From what I've seen, there's been a lot of complaint after the first two albums from the band, whether that be from the new members coming in and out, the roster changes, whether it be that there's not as much noise and heavy distortion on these, or whether they just be songs that aren't that unique and speak to a lot of the listeners. I feel like this newest album, though, will go to a lot of those older listeners, because it definitely did for me. Go put on Go Low right now and tell me 0.1 seconds into the track that your ears aren't just being assaulted from this harsh wave of, wall of noise that's pushing on you. And then it's got that beautiful driving bass kicking it too. I just want to point out that I'm only really sticking out this one track, but all the tracks on this really have that level of aggression and level of noise that the other previous albums did, the first two albums. Let's move into the quality of the notes rather than the tone of the notes. And I really think that this is a much more of a dance punk feel from the band, rather than the post-punk feeling that was in the earlier albums. For me, this is a positive. I love dance punk. It's a big genre of mine. I'm getting some heavy Liars feeling, some Death from Above 1975 feeling from this. But at the same time, this album still has a lot of those driving shoegaze songs, those noise rock songs, and this time they're a lot more blended together. Dragged in a Hole, Hold On Tight, Ringing Bells. These three tracks really showcase these, and they do it very, very well. It's very unique, and it also just feels like a natural progression from this band. Whether it be the new members that came in, it still feels like in today's music scene, they're fitting the gap very, very well. At the end of this album, there's even a New Order-esque song on this, but at the same time, they still put their own unique twist on this, and it feels a song that is unique to them with the levels of noise that's put into this. It's just a fantastic ending to an album. Last thing that I want to mention about this is how consistent this album is. It takes a long time for me to find any dead spots in this, and even still, there really isn't any dead spots in this. The front half of this, the first 6 tracks, are all fantastic. The back half on this is a lot more, not I wouldn't say experimental, but experimental for the band in that they go in with new approaches. And some of these hit, and some of them don't. But for the most part, they do hit, and I think it's fun to see them play with different genres. Now let's talk about some of the negatives. And I don't like talking about negatives, but I was just mentioning that the back half on this is a lot of a more of a different approach, and they put their own creative twist on it. But some of these songs just really don't hit. They feel a little too jammy at times. They don't really have an idea, and they're just kind of playing around and just throwing noise over it as if it's going to make it any better. The lyrics on this can be a little too plain on the back half. They can be a little bit too predictable on their hooks. They sound like a whole bunch of other bands that are making the same music, but with that unique twist of noise that A Place to Bury Strangers is known for. I think the song Anyone But You is one of the songs that I kind of have a problem with in particular. It's not a bad song necessarily, it's a little bit too swingy, a little bit too upbeat on the rhythm, but the guitar backdrop and the lead section tonal wise is it's absolutely fantastic, and it's very interesting to listen to once the vocals cut off and the lead guitar is the one that is singing and driving the song. Another one is I Don't Know How You Do It. This song kind of eliminates all of the noise really. It has this kind of abstract lead guitar on it that I like a lot, but for the most part, everything's kind of stripped away on this song, and it just feels like a song that I've heard, about 100 times from another band. Last thing to mention, the negative of this album is that sometimes there's ideas and there's momentum that's being built on this album, and they just kind of cut it short, or they don't let it run as much as I would like them to. The ending of I'm Hurt and the middle section has these very wrecked, very wicked tones going on, this atmosphere that's building, and just when it's about to boil over, it just kind of cuts out and stops right there and then. I think for the most part this is because there's 2 new members of this in a 3-piece band. They need to get their synergy together. Just because you've played with somebody in the past, when you have 3 new members that have never played together, just in different other groups, you're still going to have a lot of synergy misses and a lot of ideas that aren't going to connect as well to your other members. And I kind of feel that's what happened here. So if this band stays with this lineup and they get that synergy and they're able to connect on those ideas, I feel like it's only uphill for the band going forward in the future. Altogether, I felt like this was an enjoyable album that was very consistent. It had some highs, it had some lows on it, but for the most part, it was just enjoyable. I'm feeling good. I'm feeling like I'm going to give this a 7.3 hiking trails out of 10. What did you think of this album? What albums would you like me to review in the future? Please leave a comment below and let me know. Subscribe if you like the content, and I hope that you have a wonderful day.